Hello, everybody. Welcome to your favorite Bronze Age Spider-Man podcast. Here comes the Spider-Cast. I am your co-host, Mike Allen. As always, I'm joined by
Joshua Mervell. And today we're going to be talking about Spider-Man comics from September of 1983.
That's right. And we're joined by two special guests. Our first special guest is G.I. Jolie.
Hi, I'm back, whether you like it or not.
Woo!
Oh,
and
boy.
Also back this week is Chad.
Hi, Chad.
Hi, everybody.
Chad, what was your superhero name? Remember the last time? What did you say it was
I was
again?
really hoping you'd remember.
Damn, I can't remember. Do you remember? Anyone? It was really cool. Oh, well. If anyone's listening at home, try to remember what it is and let us know. But it's in the recording.
Right into the podcast.
Huh? What's that?
Oh, I think I turned my mic down. Sorry, everybody.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway. Okay, so this week, it's another, again, my favorite guy is back. It's a Hobgoblin week. So we've got the Hobgoblin, we've got the Fantastic Four, and we've got Cloak and Dagger again, as well as the Punisher. We're going to start off, though, with Amazing Spider-Man 244, featuring the second story ever with the Hobgoblin. And the first thing I want to point out about this issue, and we'll talk about this more in detail later, but it's written by our regular team of Roger Stern and John Romita Jr., but for only the second time ever, it's inked by Klaus Janson. Okay, we will talk about that later. First, we're going to talk about the story. So once again, for the 12th year in a row, Black Cat is still in the hospital from the injuries sustained in Spectacular Spider-Man. Spider-Man is visiting her.
Chad, do you remember if she was in the hospital when you were on?
No. We talked about
No? Okay.
Savage Land.
Yeah, we talked about Marvel Fanfare with Chad.
Right,
yeah.
okay.
So he's not familiar with these ongoing subplots, but basically Black Cat has been in the hospital for like 3 years. Like, it's ridiculous, but whatever. I mean, I've never been shot by a shotgun. I don't know how long it would take to get out of the hospital.
Oh, that's what's wrong with her?
Was it a shotgun or was it Dr. Octopus's octopus arm?
Doc Ock punched
He had a
her or
gun.
something. But the thing is, though, it's not just that. It's the fact that every time she would recover, Doc Ock would break into the hospital, pull her plugs that are keeping her alive. She would end up back into the ICU, only for her to get better again, so Doc Ock can come and pull the plugs again. And it happened 3 or 4 times, and she's still in the hospital.
I think to be fair, I only remember that happening once, but maybe I don't know. Maybe those blurs together for me.
I think he came. I think I'm exaggerating. I think he did come twice, though.
Okay. So anyway,
then-
okay. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
It just dragged on. That's it.
Oh, it's definitely dragged on. There's no question about that. It's been so long. I don't remember when this storyline started, but yeah, she's still in the hospital. And in this time that he's still in love with her and visiting her in the hospital, he's juggled 2 or 3 other girlfriends, plus Shauna the She-Devil. So yeah, he is a lady killer here, this Peter Parker. But anyway,
He dated Kazar's girl?
yeah, well,
Yeah.
He tried.
Kazar was temporarily dead, and so they slept
Temporarily
in the
dead.
same bed together, and
Ooh.
He's
God knows
only
what happened.
mostly dead.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but anyway, so back to this. So we get this scene that I love. I read this as a kid, and I just loved it, you know. Peter Parker is still trying to officially leave grad school, and we get this really long funny sequence of him waiting in lines and waiting in other lines and getting things signed, and you know, then he goes to one guy's office and he pisses him off, and he goes to another guy's, and the guy won't give him the time of day. And I love this scene. So he gets back at him because the guy's so dismissive of him that he webs his door shut, and then we get this funny scene of basically the guy's implying that he has to go to the bathroom, and when he tries to get out, the door is webbed shut. And so, and then it's funny because he's like, somebody, get me out of here. Dean Crenshaw? Thank heaven, I need help. My door is stuck. I'll say it is. Get a custodian quick. I must get out of here. I have an important call to answer. I just think that's great. So anyway, so he ends up getting out. He's fine. But then we go back to the subplot of Peter trying to drop out of school. We get some some Mary Jane Watson hanging out with Harry Osborn and what's his wife's name? Liz,
Allen.
right? Yeah. So and they kind of hint at setting Mary Jane back up with Peter because they did date in the past, and that really irks Mary Jane. So she takes off. Then we touch base with this ongoing subplot picked up from the last Hobgoblin story, where somebody has been attacking Norman Osborn's former like companies and subsidiaries and headquarters, and this one obviously the first suspect is whoever the Hobgoblin is, but then they introduce this idea that it's actually someone else doing it, and so Peter Parker goes in to intervene with this gang of hooligans who are raiding this base, and basically through the fisticuffs he hears them name drop Lefty Donovan. So now he thinks, aha, so now I've got a name for the Hobgoblin. Oh, and by the way, he also drops a spider tracer on the truck, but then the truck ends up opening up and another vehicle comes out and takes off, so he is not able to track that person down. But he does think he's got a name for the Hobgoblin, and it's Lefty Donovan. But then we cut to a scene of Lefty Donovan going and talking to the Hobgoblin, so obviously the Hobgoblin's not Lefty Donovan. And then the story pretty much ends with Mary Jane on a date. And then there's this kind of like reference to Mary Jane always being known as a happy-go-lucky party girl. And she sees like a little headline about Harry Osborn's businesses being attacked, and she's all kind of like concerned about him. But then the guy's like, you just look serious for a moment. Serious? Don't be silly. You know me. I'm never serious about anything. Never. Dun, dun, dun. Right? So she's just putting on a face there. So anyway, that's pretty much the story. And so I'm going to start with you, Chad. First, I want to know, I know that we have had you on before, but are you familiar with any of these creators, Roger Stern or John Romita Jr. or Klaus
John
Janson?
Romita Jr., yes, definitely. JR.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, okay. What are you familiar with him from?
Okay, so I remember when he took on X-Men back in the early 90s.
Okay, that was his second X-Men run then. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. He it was like right before Fatal Attractions, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, It was a big shift from Jim Lee and Wills, and then it went into the hands of Kubert, or Kubert, I don't know. And then all of a sudden, John Romita Jr. came on the scene, and everybody was like twice as thick as how they used to be, and real choppy pencils. And I just remember it having a lot of style. Like, it was very different than anything before. And I didn't recognize John Romita Jr. Until we got to the page where we saw MJ's hair. And I said, I know who draws hair like this. And I had to go back and I looked, and it was him.
Okay. So judging by what you said, it sounds like you're not a huge fan.
Oh, I like his style.
Okay. So, G.I. Jolie, what is your opinion? Okay. Oh, sorry. I should also point out the key thing about this issue is it's the first one inked by Klaus Janson. He only did a handful of Spider-Man comics in the 80s. This is one of them. G.I. Jolie, do you notice a difference in the style of this issue?
No. Not really. Sorry, I'm just like searching for an answer, and I don't really have one.
Well, I would jump to page Digital 22. This is the issue. This is the page that jumps out at me. Hobgoblin sitting in the dark. So Klaus Janson's most famous for collaborating with Frank Miller on his Daredevil run, as well as Dark Knight. And I think, to me, especially compared to Jim Mooney, this is drastically different. And to me, it makes it look more gritty, more realistic. But I don't know. What do you think, Jolie? Do you notice a difference?
No, because it's recolored poorly. I think that if the original colors were retained with these lines, there would have been some kind of noticeable impact, but I don't see it. So, if anything, like I feel like the original colors, I feel like I'm 100% correct when I say the original colors look nothing like this, because what we're reading is like one of those like white page reprinted, recolored monstrosities. Like, why why would you choose to recolor a figure who's sitting in the dark in like the brightest of yellow? Or there's no tonal values. It's just straight color. It's almost as if I took a marker, or like, you know, in Photoshop I plotted shapes that were these colors, and that's it. Like, it's disappointing. If you go to the next page after that, where Mary Jane and Harry pass by the newsstand, even the newsstand person, the way that person is colored is like really upsetting to me. Like, why would you choose that type? Like, why would you choose magenta for his t-shirt? Why would you choose that Kelly green for his hat? Like, just the coloring choices make no sense. So, like, aside from the art, which I will say is like really good, it's so good that it's unnoticeable, which is probably good. But the coloring is terrible, and I really wish like the comic book industry would stop doing this. It just makes it look it's like almost like defacing it. I don't know.
It's gonna take a dramatic change in the way they do things, because it's like you have to recreate the saturation of a newsprint comic, yet still be on digital, you know, or white paper. But then the next step would be, do you mimic the dots? Like, I don't know if they should go that far, but it was certainly created to look that way. So I don't know.
So from a design standpoint, but also from somebody who's just been like ravenously devouring all of the things that Jose Villarrubia has been talking about when he talks about coloring, it's not hard. That's the thing. His what he's saying is the recoloring that they do is terrible, and it takes even less time than a good job would do. The good job that they think will take more time doesn't actually take that long at all. The whole like replication of like values or saturation or whatever, he's able to do this within seconds in order to show people how original comics coloring or even restoration, like how it should look. And unfortunately, like, he's a colorist and they're not hiring a colorist to do it. So.
Right. Well, okay, but as far as the actual inks, Josh, do you notice a difference with Klaus Janssen's inks on this issue?
With the inks, definitely. It's very it's a lot more scratchy and like it feels like it's inked. I know inking is inked, obviously, but like it feels more like you can see the pen strokes and everything.
Right.
I think at times it really does help and add a lot of style to it, but then others, I think that it just feels kind of lazy at times. I think that there's a couple of, so when they're fighting when Spider-Man's fighting the goons in the warehouse, there's like one guy in the panel. I'm sorry, I don't have the page number. I can't seem to find it on the web browser anywhere. What page number it is? But it's after he swings in. He's like on the top right panel is him looking up at from the ceiling, looking down into the thing. If you look at the second last panel, the guy all the way to the right just looks like I could barely tell that that's a face. Like, I don't know. Right. I think at times it really works and it looks good, and then others it doesn't. I mean, even just the panel above it, I think, looks a lot better than the one below. And I'm not sure if it's just maybe the style works well when you're focusing on one thing, but when you're doing background stuff, it kind of makes it look messy or what. But to be honest, overall, I really did like it. I thought the art was great. I just think that at times it kind of stuck out as being a little messy. I mean, even on the next page, the guy that Spider-Man's holding by the scruff of his shirt, and his like head is cocked back, and he's just got these like really thin like 3 lines in a row to be like a triple chin or something like that, but it doesn't look right. Something's off about it.
I think the problem is because I've seen Klaus Janson do pencils as well. Like I've seen him draw a full story, and his anatomy is not great. So I think the key is as long as the pencils underneath are fully fleshed out and detailed, he is able to bring like shadow and depth to it and texture. But if the pencils are loose and you leave it to him to actually fill in the details of the face, that's where it falls apart.
He's not too sure. Right.
He doesn't really know how to do it. But I really found that, oh man, it just really changes the tone of the story for me. The inks, like, and this is a strange way. Like again, I said it's grittier and more realistic, and I really like it. And I was a huge fan of Jim Mooney, and I liked. I think it was Frank Giacoia who was working the last few issues, but I do like this a lot better. And
this is very different from Jim Mooney. Jim Mooney's lines are extremely clean and like precise, and you can really tell that he understands his anatomy and everything. And this does add a lot more texture and character, I think, but at times it could be a lot more messy. So I think it's got its benefits and its downfalls for sure.
Right. Okay, so this is Roger Stern, the seminal Spidey writer of the early '80s. Chad, did you enjoy this story?
No, I took notes, guys. Come on. Okay. So I liked it because it felt like a Spider-Man story. Not that I even really know what that means, but there's very clearly so in my notes I wrote, this feels like a sitcom. Like the first couple pages, I think we get to page 13 before we actually see him in his costume, aside from the splash with him kissing Black Cat, right? Okay, so I thought that was a great intro, whoa, the boys are uncomfortable. And then you turn the page, you find out she's in hospital, and then he's immediately home. And then you spend the next 10 pages with him in blue jeans walking around school. Mm-hmm. And there was comedic beats, and there was a little bit of self-reflection. So I felt okay, so this is Peter Parker, obviously. And then he's just kind of on the case, which kind of follows a procedural that is similar to Batman, but very clearly is Spider-Man, because there's jokes to be had and daylight.
And it's funny because I'm currently also reading Roger Stern's Superman run, his first run, and it's decent. But I think one of the things that's really lacking is that they at least in those days in the late '80s, they didn't have Clark Kent deal with the same types of real world problems that Peter Parker does, and I really think that helps this era. The fact that even though he's a superhero and he's got the proportionate strength of a spider, he's not Bruce Wayne, he's not rich, he's not Superman. He's still got to wait in line just like everybody else, He's still got to deal with people, to get what he wants. I think that's great. G.I. Joe Lee, so you've read some scattered issues of Spider-Man over the last year with us. What'd you think of the script in this one?
No, it's just... when you don't notice that you're reading something bad, it's obviously good. Mm-hmm. It's obviously entertaining. I like the whole being able to see Peter Parker and not Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. So his little foray into the registrar's office was, it hit a nerve with me because one, we can all relate to that. Oh, God, to having to hound professors for their signature to drop their class, as if that's as if they've been it's not as if they've been told that once we approach them to retain our status in the class, to keep our money, they don't care. They almost, it is a burden to them that we need to collect their stupid signature. We should just be able to drop the thing. Their waiting list is 50 people long. But anyway, the other thing that I really liked, so I liked the writing, obviously, was Mary Jane. We got to see like some fun Mary Jane stuff, but poor Black Canary.
Oh, Black
She's
Cat,
like-
yeah.
Poor Black Cat. She's in the hospital and she's doing fine. It's been a few weeks. They acknowledge it in a narrative box, but they don't take her out of the hospital. They just leave her there. So it's like they acknowledge that she's getting better, maybe, but then I feel like in some like weird way, they've castrated a very powerful character by making her the love interest of Spider-Man.
Right.
Right. It almost feels at times like they wrote this cool idea where, you know, Spider-Man and Black Cat, like a hero and an anti-hero or a villain, get together, but then they didn't know where to go with it from there. So they just had her hospitalized for issues upon issues because they didn't know what to do with it, right? So it's really getting tiring, and it feels really cheap that they built it up so much just to kind of like put it back on the shelf.
Yeah,
Right.
and then she's just still so tortured over the same shit. Like, so nothing has changed except for now he obviously goes and he speaks to her because now she's aware of villains like Hobgoblin. So, I mean, she's pretty much caught up, and now we as readers know that. But like, it's almost as if they're asking us, the editors are asking us to like be okay with what they've done to her, and I'm not okay with it. So, moving on. We may have to start like another justice campaign. Justice for Deb Whitman, justice for Black Cat. 1980s Black Cat. Like, come on. Stop. Also, let's see here. I don't totally know what they're trying to get at with Mary Jane. Like, I'm not sure what they're implying when they pass by that newsstand.
Well, I think the point is that in the 60s, Mary Jane was portrayed as this flighty party girl, and that was it. She didn't care about anything, and that was her personality that contrasted Gwen Stacy, who was like the more down-to-earth girl next door. And so I think the whole idea is that they're trying to show that there's a side of Mary Jane that we haven't seen before. But because as a reader at this time, they probably hadn't seen that side of her, you know? And she's also been missing for like several years of continuity, so I think that's what they're getting at.
So who was the blonde that was with her at the show?
I have no idea.
Liz?
No. That was
No,
the
they do.
brunch or whatever. Liz and Harry are dating, which is news to me. And then, like, they invited Mary Jane, and she said, "Oh, Peter Parker." The four of them are going to double date, but they don't know about Black Cat, which is its own thing. Oh, so here's a question: is Black Cat dating Spider-Man, or is she dating Peter Parker?
She doesn't know who Peter Parker is.
Yeah.
So she's just making out with a superhero.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Now I see what you mean. Okay. She's in the theater district. I thought she was with Harry.
No.
She's with some guy named Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff.
The
Yeah.
fuck is Jeff? Okay, so now I understand what, because you kept saying it, Mike, where you kept saying they're trying to write her as like this happy-go-lucky. So happy-go-lucky is like code for she gets around?
No. It's literally code for she likes to party and dance and have fun and doesn't care about anything. That was her personality in the 60s.
Okay, cool. I mean, like, I have no problem with it. I don't care what she does because no one should. Least of all us. Like, but I don't know why that's like a, yeah. It just seems kind of weird to shoehorn her in because now I just don't even know what the Spider-Man action is. To be honest, I don't understand any of that. Like, other than he left the hospital after visiting Black Cat, he changes in the stairwell and goes after henchmen. Like, like that was his plan for the day? Like he was like, okay, I gotta go visit like Black Cat, and then I gotta go figure out who Hobgoblin is. Like,
no, he's going to drop classes, and then later there's an Osborn corporate office that's raided, and that introduces that plot, and he catches it in a newspaper headline, and that's what makes him go investigate it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole Batman part of it.
Right.
Like, you start with the sitcom, and then it's like, oh, something happens, and now I'm a detective, and I'm on the case.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right.
I will say, the one thing that threw me off, I think it was just me, like, not connecting the dots too well, but I was so confused as to where he got the information to go to the docks from, because I kept seeing him read a newspaper, but did they update the newspaper that quickly?
Yeah,
of course they did.
You know, like it happened and they printed it. So I don't know why. In my brain, I had to keep rereading it because I was like, "What? How the hell did we get from here to here?"
The one thing is it does say in the caption late afternoon, and I know that at least in New York at this time there was like 2 or 3 editions of the New York Times like every day.
Oh, really? Okay.
So yeah, there's like morning edition, late edition, emergency edition. Yeah, so it's possible that it came out in the late edition. But anyway, okay, so we got to wrap this one up. I definitely recommend this issue. I remember reading it as a kid many times. I'm a big fan, again, of Roger Stern, John Romita, and Klaus Janson, so I would recommend it. Josh, do you recommend this issue?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
All right. G.I. Jolie?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the good stuff, so get it in you.
All right. Chad, do you recommend this comic?
No!
Huh?
Oh, he's joking.
Are you joshing me? All right.
I am.
Okay. Woo! Okay. So that wraps up a review of Amazing Spider-Man. Now we're going to move on to... Hold on. Do you guys hear that?
No.
Okay, well, I tried to do something funny.
It's me running out of the room. It's me running out of the room. See you guys later. Bye-bye. I'll see you guys next week on the podcast.
So... It is cause for celebration because this week is the last issue of Marvel Team Up by J.M. DeMatteis. Josh, this is dedicated to you, all right?
Thank you.
Don't get too excited. So yes,
yeah, it's true. We still have to talk about this one.
Oh, you don't. We have to talk about it, but Josh, to celebrate, you are not gonna summarize the plot for this one. G.I. Jolie is volunteering to do that.
Oh, you guys can't see it because it's a podcast, but Mike has just taken out a key and unlocked this chain that was clamped to my leg.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. I was like, but my video is on. How come I can't see? I'm just trying to find the dance hall horn. But anyway.
So yeah, Marvel Team Up. It's been the bane of our existence for 49 weeks. It still might be, depending on who the next writer is, but yeah. Anyway.
I'll reserve this button for when we finish this. Okay, so we have Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four, which the last time I was on, I think that he was with the Fantastic Four as well, because they do reference the last issue where Stretch gets shot with the...
Stretch.
What's it called? With the Absorbiscan. That's it, the Absorbiscan. Sorry, I forgot all these newfangled sci-fi words. But anyway, okay. So we're in the lab, and Stretch is still kind of mulling over his new condition. He's been shot with the Absorbiscan, which took away his intelligence, and he only has... they were only able to kind of reclaim a bit of it. So Spider-Man is dealing with his weird meltdown, but we also get this, like, in the narrative boxes, we get this weird voice who is talking to Anna. And I'm like, really? Come on. What soap opera shit is this? Like, who is talking? Who is Anna? And why do I need to care? And it goes on like this for like a few pages. It overlaps the recap of the last issue, which, by the way, was unnecessary. But anyway, I found myself just skipping through it. So all I know is that the voice that we are hearing is somebody named Dr. Faustus, and he is bent on taking down the Fantastic Four and setting the world on fire, starting with America. So,
does he mean with his recording career or just literally setting it on fire?
Oh, the fire is not burning on the dance floor.
Yeah.
Whoa. No. No. He, like, literal flames. Literal destruction.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I just dance hall. Anyway, I'm in a place. So I don't know how they've been tipped off. I don't know how they get in the same room or why they get into this plane. Or where they're even going. They take the Fantastic Car somewhere, and then they bump into Vienna, Austria. Really? I
Is it Vienna? I don't know. I don't remember.
I don't.
Yeah.
remember
I mean, as
either.
much as I tried, my brain couldn't help but skim read a lot of these captions.
Yeah.
So a lot of the text.
So whatever happens, they're outside of the Fantastic Car, and his spidey sense tingles, and he feels like danger, and it's Johnny Storm who is being controlled. Question mark?
Yeah.
It looks like he's almost like flung out of the building. That's what it kind of looked like to me. Like, we see this light kind of shoot out from over top of the building, and then he's like losing control, and he's like flailing his arms, and he crashes. So it looks almost like he's thrown over the building.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well,
I don't know if that's what it was supposed to be, but that's what I got from it. Was he just like, I don't know, was shot out of the freaking building? I don't know.
What's his face? Oh, sorry, Johnny Storm. That's it. Okay, the Human Torch. He's like, oh, I've escaped from wherever. Sorry, I'm falling asleep anyway. But the most important thing is that he tells Reed that they have Franklin, which, spoiler, is his son. So he like suddenly becomes enraged and is like, I'm going in, and I'm going to save my son. And when they're in there, they see the other members of the Fantastic Four, and they kind of have to work through this diabolical escape room to set everyone free. So while they're all doing that, Dr. Faustus can see what they're doing on these screens. And this whole time, this is when you finally see, well, maybe you saw it before. You see him talking to Anna. Yeah, you did before. Okay, so you find out that Anna is this, is sort of this woman who's standing with him in his little room of TVs, and she's the one that's kind of like goading him on to be a better villain. And she reminds him of his past in Austria, where I think at this point I just assume that she's either like an evil sidekick, an evil assistant, or his wife. It's never clear.
I was thinking wife, yeah.
Yeah. It's never clear who she is, but she is down on him like the plague. She's not nice. And she's not nice about how he does stuff. She doesn't agree with his tactics, but she does agree that he is a failure, and he feels it. And like all villains, Dr. Faustus is just trying to it seems like we find out that his motivations are sort of motivated by pleasing her. So anyway, cut back to the Fantastic Four, who now have the thing. They have Johnny Storm, and now they're looking for Sue. I don't know how it is that they find her, other than it looks to be, without reading the text, it looks like they pick a door. And lo and behold, she's behind the door. She's in there. And she's in there just repeating the word invisible over and over to herself. Because I don't think that she's able to become invisible. And I don't know what's causing it.
But then she immediately does become invisible.
Exactly. He touches her.
Weird.
Yeah, he touches her, and that triggers it. Maybe, I don't know. They don't really, they don't really go into too much detail about that. Anyway, he sees Sue, and he's like, "Oh hey, Sue, stop being crazy. Where's Franklin?" He's like, you can be invisible. She turns invisible, and then he's like, okay, cool. Now we gotta find Franklin. And then we see that Franklin, there's just no sense of adventure at all. No. He's just up on a balcony. He's just up on the second floor with Dr. Doom. When did he get here? Is it because all Austrians know each other? They hang out in the same facilities. It's like a shared space for villains. I don't know. I don't get it. But he has Franklin. And it's up to them to free Franklin from Dr. Doom's clutches. The one thing that I will say that I did enjoy was when Dr. Doom takes his mask off and he's like, "Look upon the face of of your most hated enemy, Richards. Look upon yourself." And it's Reed's face. Mm-hmm. That was the best. That was the best thing about this whole comic, because he goes berserk after that. Shots are fired. The Fantastic Four pass out. And then somehow Franklin is freed. It's never made clear. But he's also holding a gun when you see that he's freed. And then he shoots it. And he shoots it. He's rendered like Chucky beady eyes. We find out that Anna is a figment of his imagination, of Dr. Faustus's imagination. He leaves a locket. Once everyone's plans are foiled, they find a locket, and there's a close-up of the locket. Spider-Man opens it, and it turns out Anna is his mother, and Dr. Faustus shows him as a little boy inside the locket. It's been her ghost this whole time guiding his journey. And the crowd goes wild.
Right.
Okay, go on, Josh. Sorry. Continue. So what did you think?
It was bad. It really sucked.
It was shit.
I don't even understand what happened. I kind of get it, but also not at all.
No.
Why did he make the androids just to torture Mr. Fantastic only to kill him? And then why did Mr. Fantastic survive being shot by a gun? Did he not?
Because he's stretchy.
Did he not talk to the androids at all to realize that they weren't them? There's no hint to this at all. It's not a good twist if they don't
hint at it.
If they don't hint at it, if by the end of it you should have, if you don't say, "Oh, I should have seen that coming," then it's not a good twist, because they're leading you in a completely different direction. It's just so weird, and nothing works in this story. I mean, even the art's fine, but it feels just as lazy at times as the story and what's happening in the pages. And again with Marvel Team Up, it's art covered up by dialogue boxes. I'm so tired of this. I'm so tired of reading Marvel Team Up because there's so much reading involved. You don't need to explain every single action that the characters are doing. I can see it. It's just nothing. I don't think I got anything out of this comic. I was so it's probably just me being done with Marvel Team Up and it being a bad comic, but I really hated this one. I mean, another thing too is like, okay, if when they go into the house,
Mm-hmm.
can you guys describe to me where they are? Like, can you tell me what the action is? Like, what are they doing? Because in every single page, every single panel, it's just a weird white background. And then when Doctor Doom shows up, this is the first time we get like a piece of a building, like any sort of structure or anything notable in this building. It's this like balcony that he's standing on top of, and then when all these guns pop out and start firing at Mr. Fantastic, it turns into the freaking dark dimension. Like there's these weird ass like tubes flying around, and these like bars are streaming everywhere, and like what is happening? Mm-hmm. At this point, I'm like, okay, this has to be like a dream, but it didn't end up even being a dream. It's androids, so like I like nothing makes sense.
No,
I can't even follow the action that's happening. Mm-hmm. Like, it's all just an incoherent mess. Nothing works in this comic.
Chad, what'd you think?
Well, I think you guys covered it. I had no idea who Dr. Faustus was.
Right.
Still don't.
But, right.
Yeah, neither do I.
Well, I know he had a mom. I mean, it's not much of a story. It's like M. Night Shyamalan wrote Fantastic Four. It's real dumb.
Right.
What do my notes say? My notes are real superficial. They say things like, the Fantastic card looks like shit. Let's see.
Oh my god, sorry, I just flipped back to it. I was like, no, you're not wrong.
No.
Yeah.
What is that?
As a fellow designer, I see things like that, and like the Batmobile has so much style, and the Ghostbuster mobile has so much like character. So when you think the Fantastic Four needs like a vehicle with some kind of class, it just doesn't exist. So I think it might be kind of funny for there to be a story about how Reed invents things that always look terrible. I mean, they might function well, but they look really phallic, or they look like they're made out of tin cans, or just something stupid. Because not everybody has the ability to make things look good.
No, he's just an engineer.
Right, exactly.
I also have a couple of notes kind of in the same vein as that. As an animator, I always see, like, I always notice in continuity errors, and I also notice when things have, like, weird tangent lines in the art. Mm-hmm. So, like, on page original 13, the Thing is punching with the wrong arm every single panel. Like, it literally alternates every single panel. His right arm is, like, is cocked, and then it's his left arm that punches the door, and then it shows up close above the door, and it's the other arm, and then it shows the door breaking and its arm breaking through, and it's the other arm again.
Well, doesn't that mean that it's
he's
throwing 3 different punches? 1, 2, 3.
Maybe?
Yeah, because it's 3 different sound effects, so I can only assume it's 3 different punches, like he's pounding through, you know?
Oh, okay, maybe that's it then.
Bam, wham,
okay,
crack.
Maybe I'm wrong. Okay. Yeah, you're right. But I don't think that there's an excuse for page 20 when Dr. Faust is holding up Mr. Fantastic's neck.
I love that. It's kind of gross.
It looks very phallic as well. It's very unfortunate placement,
Yeah.
I think, for him to be holding Reed's neck and head like that.
Yikes.
Right there in that position. Like, it just seems not good. Like, you couldn't have thought of any other pose for this?
Uh-huh.
This is what you choose? Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, it's very
like, what could you possibly be talking about? Wait, how did I ever forget that?
So, yeah, my impression is this issue is once again a bunch of crap thrown against the wall. Nothing sticks. It's incoherent. Again, Spider-Man's only in the first 2.1 pages. Oh, man, I think it's terrible. I don't recommend it. The art is okay. But again, even though Sal Buscema is a good artist, I still think he kind of phoned it in, right? He was probably like, what in the hell is this script?
Well, there's no backgrounds.
Right.
So, I don't know. Did you guys all see the caption on page 22? Asterisk, a no prize to the first reader who can compile a complete list of our sneaky clues.
Yeah, no thanks. I'm not going back and reading this thing again.
So they knew they wrote something bad, and they want some nerd to sit there and make a list of all the things that might work?
Right.
It's a lot.
Everything, even if it's not written down.
I don't know what else to say about this. G.I. Julie, do you have anything else to say about it?
I will join Josh in a celebration that is never having to read one of these things again. Yay! None of them were good. None of them.
Well, there's more Marvel team-ups, just not by this writer. But anyway. Okay, anyway. Do you recommend this comic?
Oh, readers, Mike has just put the chain back on my ankle.
Oh, yeah, there's definitely more Marvel team-ups. There's no doubt about that.
He swallowed the key.
Yeah. Josh, do you recommend this comic?
No.
Chad, do you recommend this? Will you ever read it again?
No,
Exactly.
no.
I never want to. I love Spidey. I am never reading this story again. I don't care. This was garbage.
I had the horn ready and everything.
The twist ending was garbage. Everything was garbage. Anyway.
So there are more team-ups?
Oh yeah, there's of course there's 17 more. They're just not by J.M. DeMatteis. That's all.
Oh, God. So I have no cause for celebration?
Well, the writer's different, so I'm sure we'll be fine. But we'll find out, right?
Oh.
Next time.
Do we know who the writer is? Can
Yes.
I just...
It's actually Bill Mantlo, the same writer as Spectacular Spider-Man.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
So anyway, speaking of Spectacular Spider-Man,
Yeah.
Josh, take it from here.
We got Spider-Man again. So we start off this issue with the Punisher, and he's kind of going on this rampage, and it's supposed to be kind of serious, but it comes off honestly kind of comedic at times.
Right.
Because, we start off with him seeing this man through a window slap his wife, and then he shoots and almost kills the dude. And the two of them are, crying on the ground in their apartment building. He's, sneaking down an alleyway. This couple is using a newspaper as an umbrella to stay out of the rain. As they run by a garbage can, they crumple it up and they throw it in the garbage, but it just misses and, is on the ground. Littering's a crime against society, Punisher says, and brap, 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 brap. Shoots down these two, this couple as they're ending their date. Taxi gets distracted by gunshots. I wonder where they came from, and doesn't notice that he is about to run a red light. Brap, 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 brap. He shoots the cab driver, completely destroys the car. The car crashes into a light post. Light post gets completely decimated. Cops on a horse starts chasing him. So, the Punisher just seems like a menace at this point. He doesn't seem like this twisted, tormented character that's completely against crime. It's almost comedic at this point. So right from the start, they're kind of starting off, I think, on a bad note with Punisher. But then we see Spider-Man swinging with Cloak and Dagger as they are trying to track down the Punisher. And Cloak and Dagger disappear after saying that what they have to do is to kill the Punisher because he's causing all this chaos, and they want to kind of take justice into their own hands. We cut to Black Cat, who dresses up in, who dons her costume and jumps out the hospital window. I don't think we ever see her again. Maybe I'm just misremembering this. So that, I mean, that's, I guess, just thrown in there. So Spider-Man goes to Fisk to... Oh, wait, they're going to kill Fisk, not Punisher. Forgive me, I'm sorry. Punisher's also on his way to kill Fisk. Spider-Man and meets up with Wilson before Cloak and Dagger can get there. I don't know how, because they just jumped through a portal to get there, and he swung across the city. So he gets there beforehand and warns Fisk, and he already knows everything that's going on. Cloak and Dagger show up. Fisk says, I don't have to fight you. I have Spider-Man here to protect me. And Spider-Man kind of goes, yeah, you know, I hate that you know that I'm going to protect you because you shouldn't die just, you know, for no reason kind of thing, even though you're a bad guy. So that means that Cloak and Dagger and Spider-Man are fighting once again, even though that they're friends with each other. Fisk is getting away, and the Punisher stops him at the bottom of the hotel or the apartment building, and they kind of have their own fight simultaneously. They're throwing couches at each other and firing bullets, whatever. I mean, just a bunch of fighting happens, and we catch up with them, and Fisk takes out the Punisher and runs away, and Cloak and Dagger also leave, and that's kind of where the comic ends.
Oh boy. I just gotta say quickly, there is a Punisher parody called The Beard Hunter, and it's in an issue of Doom Patrol, and it's written by Grant Morrison, okay? And this dialogue, or this narration reads like a Grant Morrison parody. So on digital page 5, when the guy throws the newspaper on the ground, this is the narration. Littering is a crime against society. Brother. He shoots up the window. He almost kills the couple. Run, honey, run. Gunshots. Then Punisher. The light is red, and that cabbie's plowing right through it. Another crime. Unloads his gun. Brother. Like, right. This is out of control. As you say, Josh, this is hog wild.
It's also just weird, too, because, like, the cab driver ran through the red light because he was distracted by gunshots
right.
from the Punisher.
Right.
It's not even... It's ridiculous. Like, this dude made a mistake because he was scared of something that you were doing, and you're going to fire on him now. Like, you're supposed to be the hero? Like, I know that he's not a good guy, but is this not somebody that we're supposed to be rooting for? So, like, he's supposed to be, like... We're supposed to kind of see his side, and it's supposed to kind of be the side of us that wants justice no matter what, but then realizing that he's wrong. So we're kind of supposed to root for him, but not really. And this is just like, he's like a goofy comic book villain in this.
Yeah. So Chad, I'm going to assume this is your first issue of Spectacular Spider-Man written by Bill Mantlo that you've ever read?
You would be correct, sir.
Okay, what did you think? Bill Mantlo's hit and miss, so we have mixed things to say usually about Spectacular. What did you think of this one?
I thought it was silly, but I also thought it was like kind of a cute little morality play. Mm-hmm. It showcases the ethical difference between three pretty significant New York vigilantes. You've got Punisher, who I think you're right. He speaks comedically in this sense because he's supposed to be. He's draconic. I don't know the words, man, but his morality is a joke. I mean, who the hell is he? And then after he does all the comedy shooting up, he says that the cops don't understand him because he has a job to do, and right. It's just a joke. And then you have Cloak and Dagger, who have a very similar. I'm going to take justice into my own hands, but I'm going to do it with like magic and like fix you, because they want to like fix the druggies and like then kill Kingpin. So they have their own way of doing things, and then you have Spider-Man, who is clearly breaking the law on his own terms, but like he also understands that the other two groups are foolish. So And then you had Kingpin, who is clearly like, if you're going to have a villain in New York City, it's going to be Kingpin. Mm-hmm. So you have him at the very end, and then you have these three people that are gunning for him, but in different ways.
G.I. Jolie.
Yes?
What'd you think? Have you finished the comic yet?
Yes. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not good. But I can't say that it's not bad because it's definitely bad.
Well,
right.
It's bad, and it's equally not good. Like the stuff with the Punisher at the top of the book. I can't put my finger on what it looks like to me, but just like it looks like comics with an X, you know?
Yes.
The way that those were rendered, even the dialogue, the boxes, they have sort of like this punch to them. They have sharpness. They have a different shape. That is, and even the lettering inside the boxes is very comics with an X. Am I supposed to be scared of the Punisher, or am I supposed to hate him? Like, there's just so many things that are happening that this book is terrible. Sorry.
Well, the thing is I the thing I'll give it is I actually appreciate its, I guess, naivete or whatever. Like, clearly this is supposed to be serious, but it's clearly not. But there's still something about it that I can forgive more than I can forgive Marvel Team Up. Whereas I just think Marvel Team Up's terrible. Whereas at least this is readable. And if this was the only Spider-Man comic, I would probably like it more. But because Amazing existed, I know that that's how good Spider-Man can be. But I definitely don't hate this comic. I just feel like it's trying way too hard to be serious and deal with like real, issues. But it clearly can't handle them. And like I said, the narration reads like a parody, and it actually kind of reminds me of Jim Valentino's what was that called? Was it Nighthawk? Whatever that Image comic was. Which, I like Jim Valentino, but again, Jim Valentino's better suited for like Guardians of the Galaxy or Normal Man, not for a Frank Miller-esque vigilante, which this clearly maybe wants to be, but it's failing miserably. And like that opening shot of Punisher on the buildings, again, it's like Jolie said, it's kind of like it looks like an indie comic, almost like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles imitation of Daredevil rather than a real Marvel comic book. And so, yeah, the art is pretty terrible and the writing's pretty terrible, but I'll give it credit for at least having the conflict between the characters. And again, this is like the 16th time we've seen Cloak and Dagger like in the same story, so it's getting a little bit repetitious. And when I got to the end and it was like, to be continued, I was like, oh my god, they're dragging this one out too. So that was a strike against it. But overall, I didn't hate it. I just didn't think it was good.
Yeah.
Josh, you got anything else to say about it?
No. I mean, like it again. It's very repetitive. I think that the ideas that they're going for is smart, but they do it in a very dumb way. The characters are cartoonish, but the topic is serious, right? Like it's
right.
It doesn't work both ways. So I think that's really the main reason why this fails. And then I don't even think that the art is good enough to even justify recommending it for that. There's a lot of really, really broken poses. If you go to original page 10, when Spider-Man is like jumping through the window to see Kingpin for the first time, his legs are like completely rubber noodles.
Right.
I mean, Spider-Man's legs, the entire issue, like you skip to page 15, like his knee is completely broken in the opposite direction.
Right.
When he's jumping in frame, fighting those goons. Like there's just so many things that seem like sloppy and out of place that even the art wasn't like great for me. Not that it was awful. There's definitely moments where it doesn't work, but I definitely could have forgiven it if the story was good. But
Yeah.
I think it's just both of them. There's like things that stand out, and it just makes it not a good comic.
Also, I don't think anyone's mentioned Kingpin's tactic of literally pulling the rug out from underneath the Punisher to defeat him. Like, and that's all he has to do is tug on the carpet with his heel, and that knocks Punisher over while he's shooting his AK-47 or whatever it is. And the next time, and then he like throws a couch at him, and the next time we see the Punisher, he's on the ground. Now let's be clear, this comic wants to be realistic, and it's trying to be realistic, but if this was a realistic comic, the Punisher would be dead. But no, what did Kingpin just give him the classic karate chop on the back of the head just to knock him out? You know what I mean? Like, come on. You know?
The Vulcan nerve pinch.
Yeah,
just ran
exactly.
away.
So yeah, I guess I could say that between this and Amazing, I think Amazing succeeds in what it's trying to do, and this fails. It's trying to be a more adult comic, but it's so obvious that it can't handle it. You know, I can't handle that level of realism, I don't think. But Chad, I want to make sure we're not missing any of your notes. Do you have any notes for this one?
So okay, this is probably really lame, but the gem on Kingpin, it seemed to sparkle,
Okay.
Yeah.
and I wanted to know if there was like past continuity where it was like magic.
I don't think it sparkles. I think it's like a pin. So it's like pinning his ascot to like his shirt. So those are lines
folds?
like, yeah, those are folds. I think it's the gem is being pressed in.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it totally looks like it's sparkly.
Yeah. I was staring at that for a little while too, and I was like, I think it might be trying to do that. It doesn't do it well. Don't get me wrong. It might be a stretch to even say that's what's happening, but
Yeah.
I have a feeling that's what they were going for.
While you look at your notes, I just want to call attention to Cloak and Dagger on the bottom of page digital 20, where it's like they're having a dance party. It looks like they're dancing.
Yeah. You're right. Oh my gosh.
But also Spidey is like hiding in Cloak, which I didn't know was possible.
You didn't know that was his powers?
Oh yeah, I knew that. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, Cloak is a big black portal.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Sorry, I did know.
Okay.
Cuz that's how they get around, right?
Yeah.
Dagger hangs out underneath there, and they
Weird sexual innuendo.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think in a different comic they explain it better, but it does really seem really off in this one. I think that the thing is that like his his power is constantly like needing energy, or else he'll kind of like turn into a black hole and suck in the entire universe, and her power is like endless light, so that energy can feed the black hole so he doesn't kind of implode, so they work together.
they are inside each other.
Yeah.
Could say.
Yeah.
You could say. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's cool. But like,
They're great characters.
how do you get away with that every time you see them though? Because it's like you have to assume that every single time you don't. That's the answer. You don't. Every
and
single
Spider-Man.
time.
Sorry, go ahead. I thought you were finished.
Oh no, you just have to like. As a writer, don't you just assume that this is the first comic for somebody, and that someone's not going to know what it is that they're doing? Like,
Yeah, there's something to be said for that. But then there's also the over-explaining, which Chris Claremont does, where, every time Psylocke is in a story, she says, my psychic knife, the totality of all my psychic energies. Or, it's like they have to describe their power in every single story. So there's definitely a balance to strike. But
yeah, and I think when they do explain it, it's done like poorly, or it's the same thing over and over again. Like every single issue, Spider-Man forgets what Cloak's powers are and accidentally gets sucked into the cape. He's like, oh man, this sucks in here. And then gets spit out and he's like, dang, I don't want to get sucked up into that cape again. And then the next issue, he's like, I could take you, and then get sucked up into the cape again. He's like, oh dang, that's like, it's like, okay, we get it. Like, I don't know. I'm getting so tired of Spider-Man fighting Cloak and Dagger 2. And then, like, making up by the end of the comic just for the next issue. They're going to fight
and that's
again.
the thing is, it is a great... Like, they have a great dynamic, but the problem is they've used it, like, the same beats so many times that it loses all of its potency, right?
Yeah.
So, kind of a mixed bag this week. Well, 1 out of 3, I guess. Chad, what's your... I mean, you've been on the show before, but this is your first foray into monthly Spidey. What is your first impression?
Well, I think of the 3, I probably liked the first one because of the whole sitcom and procedural aspects.
Sure.
You get a better sense of who Peter Parker is, what New York City is, his cast, his life. John Romita Jr. has great art. I don't think it married well with the inker. I know that you guys talked about it. I think... Well, my whole experience is from the 90s, right? So when I see this artwork in the 80s, I have to think, oh, this is 10 years before I knew him. And that's why I see parts that I recognize and other parts that I think had yet to grow.
Okay.
The other 2 issues were kind of a joke. Fantastic Four was definitely a joke. The last one was kind of like... It felt like, well, so when we saw Black Cat jump out of the window, I thought, oh, this is just going to be a 90-car pileup. Everybody from New York is going to be up on, like, Kingpin's penthouse. But, you know, it just turned out to be a rug fight.
You know...
Go ahead, Josh.
You know what Spectacular Spider-Man felt like this week? It felt like... Have you ever seen the video... Have you ever seen the video of the kids, like the little kids doing a, like, theater production of The Godfather?
Yes.
That's what this feels like. It feels like very serious topic that they, like, a deep message, and it's played so childishly that it's laughable.
Right.
It just doesn't work together, and I definitely would not recommend this issue of Spectacular.
This is one of the worst Bill Mantlo Spidey comics we've read. Not worst, just laughable. Entertaining, but laughable. So yeah, I don't recommend it. G.I. Jolie, do you recommend it?
No.
All right.
Not at all.
So yeah, again, mixed bag this week. Next week we will be looking at. Let me just check my schedule here. Oh yeah, next week we're gonna be. Actually, what are we doing next week? Oh yeah, that's right. Next week is our 50th episode. It's the big one. We're gonna be going live. That's right, live on Monday night. We're gonna be reviewing Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends and the '90s Spider-Man cartoon. So definitely be sure to join us for that. There'll be notifications going out, so be sure to tune in. I'm not sure exactly what time it'll be, but probably 6:30 on Monday night. That's August 17th. Because this is taped ahead, but we don't want to reveal that. But anyway, so yeah, Josh, you can take it from here.
Guys, I accidentally looked at next issue of Marvel Team Up.
Oh no!
It's called The Boys Night Out, guys.
Woo! Can't wait.
Oh no! I've never even heard of this fool before. The Jack of Hearts.
New writer, Josh. Give it a chance. I mean, granted, it's by the same writer that just did this Punisher story, but still.
Okay.
Someone let a cat into the conversation.
Yeah. Well, we want to thank you guys for listening to the podcast. It really does help when you leave a review over on Apple Podcast or drop us a line on Twitter at HCT Spidercast. And you can also find us at the Comic Book Syndicate pretty much anywhere else. Please keep in touch because we want to keep that conversation going.
That's right. We definitely want to thank G.I. Jolie for joining us again this week. And for Oh, what's your superhero name, Chad?
I looked. I can't find it.
Damn it! All right, thank you, Chad, for joining us. And we'd love to have you on again. Hopefully, by that point, we'll be 3 for 3 when we do Spidey comics, right?
Yeah.
That's our goal. We're working towards it. We're almost there, though. But anyway, look at that. We've got a new writer on Marvel Team Up. So, well, hopefully that's an improvement, but we'll find out, right? But anyway, okay, that's it. So until next Monday, this has been Here Comes the Spider Cast.
All right, see you then.